With Donald Trump dominating the Republican presidential race despite another potential indictment for trying to interfere in the 2020 presidential election, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is again playing to the far-right members of his caucus. The speaker reacting this morning to reporting from Politico that NBC News has not confirmed that he promised Donald Trump a vote to expunge his impeachments before August.
There's no deal, but I've been very clear from long before when I voted against impeachments that they put in for purely political purposes. I support expungement, but there's no deal out there.
Speaker McCarthy there with our colleague Ryan Nobles on the Hill. Joining me now is NBC News senior Capitol Hill correspondent Garrett Haake, Jim Messina, the former deputy chief of staff and campaign manager to President Obama, and Sam Stein, the White House editor and our friend at Politico. Garrett, let me ask you, so what are sources telling you right now about Speaker McCarthy's alleged conversations with Donald Trump about this idea of expunging his impeachments?
Well, my sources have confirmed there have been conversations, that this is something that Donald Trump is very much interested in. He likes the idea of an expungement, which we can set aside for now. It's not really a thing. You can't take this away. It happened. We were there. You can pass a resolution that does basically anything, though, so you can call it an expungement, sure. My sources have pushed back on the idea that there was any specific deal or any specific timeline attached to this, and that's what McCarthy and some of his allies have said on the record. But make no mistake, Donald Trump is very into this idea. It falls right into the category of sort of public defense of him that his allies can give him, and it's a talking point he could take out on the trail and say, see, I told you from the beginning, these impeachments were all about politics.
Are the votes there?
Not right now. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that they're not there. I think we'd see a more aggressive push on this. This resolution was first brought up about a month ago. There's two members who currently still in the House, Republican members, who voted for that second impeachment. It's hard to see them changing their votes now. And a host of more moderate members who represent Biden districts, who probably don't want to spend their time in Washington relitigating the impeachments that were voted in the last two Congresses.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's a high priority back in most of America right now. Sam, Politico had this original report. But what are the risks for Kevin McCarthy? Or for one, as we were just discussing, it's not even clear that this thing would pass. Some Republicans do not want to go down this road again.
Yeah, I mean, the risks are that you are just relitigating the exact issues that you as a Republican Party leader don't want to relitigate, right? I mean, in essence, you want the spotlight to be on Biden. And if you do an expungement vote, you're just going to have to go back to what happened on January 6th, and then prior to then, what happened with President Trump's phone call with President Zelensky. And those are things you just don't want to be talking about. Now, obviously, the McCarthy-Trump relationship is dynamic. That's one way to describe it. An interesting relationship is perhaps another. But, McCarthy clearly feels that he needs Trump. He needs Trump's support. He obviously went down to Mar-a-Lago right after January 6th, basically gave Trump cover. Trump has been supportive of him as speaker, but this could all come falling apart. And so McCarthy's issue here is that he needs to keep Trump in his base behind him, or else his speakership is endangered. And I think that's why you see these types of nebulous promises being made to hold votes that, frankly, I'm not sure you can even expunge an impeachment, but maybe if you want to have that type of performance vote to satisfy Trump, that's something he may end up having to do.
Yeah, you can't expunge the pictures that we saw on January 6th either, right, Garrett? I want to play a split screen. This is from Kevin McCarthy. These are the days after the January 6th attack, where he was saying that Donald Trump needs to take responsibility for his actions versus Speaker McCarthy just a couple days ago. Watch these back to back.
I don't see how he could be found criminally responsible. He did not charge it. Well, what criminal activity did he do? He told people to be peaceful. The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters. He should have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding. Accept his share of responsibility. Quell the brewing unrest.
That's why archives are such a problem for some of these politicians these days, right? First of all, you got Jack Smith, who, per this letter, is not accusing former President Trump of inciting violence. So for Kevin McCarthy, basically, to say that, he was calling for it to be peaceful that day, that's not even an issue here. The issue is the idea of a conspiracy, the fake electors, these meetings that took place behind closed doors, standing there on election night and claiming victory when he knew, claiming it was stolen when there was no evidence to demonstrate as much right now. So this really does sort of come back to haunt Kevin McCarthy in ways, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. If you argue that his impeachments need to be expunged so he can't be held politically accountable, and now you're saying he also can't be held legally accountable, but that he needs to be held accountable by whom and in what measure? So, yeah, I mean, this is a problem for McCarthy. He does not appear consistent on this issue, but he remains in line with where most House Republicans are on this, which is that January 6th, they believe, has been overplayed and that, basically we're all making too big a deal out of this and that the country ought to move on.
Jim, to you, the more Americans talk about Donald Trump, is that just more good news for Democrats right now and for this administration?
Oh, absolutely. Look, we just had an election where the determinative factor on how people voted was their view of Donald Trump. And so Donald Trump is just putting himself right back in the spotlight here. And this, Peter, shows you the weakness of Kevin McCarthy. The moment Donald Trump raised this, he should have said, no, that's a bad idea. Let's stay focused on other things. First of all, Garrett's right. He'd lose this vote in all likelihood. And second of all, why do you want to be talking about January 6th in the middle of the summer and putting Donald Trump back in the spotlight? This is just a terrible political idea that a very weak speaker who can't control his own caucus should have killed.
So Republicans are trying to put something else in the spotlight right now. Speaker McCarthy consistently hits President Biden on the investigation into his son, Hunter Biden. Yesterday, we heard from a pair of IRS whistleblowers who claimed that the DOJ, the Justice Department, had meddled in that investigation. Here's part of their testimony.
It appeared to me, based on what I experienced, that the U.S. Attorney in Delaware in our investigation was constantly hamstrung, limited, and marginalized by DOJ officials as well as other U.S. attorneys.
At every stage, decisions were made that benefited the subject of this investigation.
So, Jim, understanding that legally this has been resolved, is it still a political liability for Joe Biden heading into 2024, the situation surrounding his son?
I don't think so. And the reason I don't think so is American presidential elections are always about the economic future of the country. And these issues are a distraction. They aren't moving the Republicans towards what they need to do, which is have an economic narrative against Joe Biden. And I think the Biden campaign is doing exactly what they should do. The president's on a 30-city tour talking about the economy, staying focused on his record, trying to sell that. And I think the Hunter Biden stuff is a distraction for the Republicans.
Jim, what's the number one challenge facing the Biden administration right now, facing the president right now as he looks ahead to 2024? You go across America, and as someone who sees the president on a regular basis, I cover him. They'll ask about his age. They'll ask about if he has the vigor to keep doing this. What do you think is the real challenge that Joe Biden faces going forward?
Selling his economic accomplishments. This guy's gotten so many things done.
You mean making it stick so Americans see where that money is going and what's being accomplished, yeah?
Absolutely. People need to understand what's in it for them. What do they see that makes their life better? And that's job one for any administration, but especially this one.
Jim Messina, I appreciate your being with us. Sam Stein, always a pleasure to have you with us here. Garrett Haake, I thank you very much for joining us as well. And next